Hi, good afternoon, teachers and students. Hope you had a good Chinese New Year break, and thank you for coming for the SSEF finalist briefing. Okay, before we start, I am Ms. Grace Leong from Ministry of Education. I'd like to also introduce the rest of my colleagues who are part of the SSEF Secretariat. Mr. Koh Siap Peng, Dr. Alice Peng, Mr. Lee Chai Sing, and our colleagues from the Science Centre, Ms. Pamela Loh, and Ms. Charlotte. I'm certain that some of you have been in correspondence with us, be it to settle some queries or to rectify some issues regarding your projects. Before we start the briefing, there is no need to take any photos during the presentation or copy your excessive notes because the slides will be uploaded onto the Science Centre website after the briefing. The briefing today will comprise of two parts. The first one will be an administrative briefing, followed by a briefing on ATS, and later there will be a short section on poster as well as the actual judging presentation, what to do and what not to do. Okay, you are sure by now we have sent out the pre-judging comments to the teachers of the various schools. You can find out the judges' pre-judging comments from your teachers in charge. Please note that not all judges would have written comments, but the whole point of releasing the comments to schools is to give students the opportunity to learn from your strengths and also work on areas of improvement in preparation for final judging in 2 weeks' time. Okay, so just some points to note. Please do not use the judges' comments to challenge any of our decisions. The judges' decisions are final. Okay, so here are the important dates you need to note for SSEF. Okay, it will be 2 weeks from now. SSEF will be involved on 3 days. So it's term 1 week 10. Tuesday afternoon will be the project set up. Wednesday will be the most exciting day, which is final judging. And Thursday is Public Day and the awards presentation ceremony. So you will be involved in all 3 days. This year, SSEF will be held at Big Box. Nearest MRT is at Jurong East. Okay, so it's an event hall in Big Box. Here are the directions to Big Box for those of you who are not too familiar. If in the case that your parents are dropping you off, drop-off point is opposite Ng Teng Fong General Hospital along Boon Way. For teachers who are catering buses to charter your students there, it is possible to drop off on level 3, the unloading bay just outside the event hall itself. Okay, so the bus can drive in from the car park and drop the students because maybe for project setup, the students will be carrying their posters and a lot of other things. For those of you who are coming by MRT, there is a sheltered link bridge from Jurong East MRT. You cut through GEM, follow the directional signs. When you reach Big Box, take the lobby A lift or the escalators up to level 3. You walk past, there will be this food court as well as furniture shop, and then you'll be able to see the registration booth. This is just a simplified diagram of the exhibition layout. It's a very big hall, it's an event hall. So if you come from the left of the screen, that's where you walk past the food court as well as the furniture shop. Then there will be a registration counter outside the exhibition hall. There will be the various booths all set up. As of now, we are unable to share with you your booth arrangement. That's why during project setup day on Tuesday afternoon, you will be shown the location of your booth, and that's where you will have get to see your booth with its project ID, and then you can do your setting up on Tuesday afternoon. So for schools who are chartering buses, the unloading bay would be just next to the exhibition hall, but you need to walk past the entire length of the exhibition hall for registration. Okay, so here would be a rough summary of the various events taking place. On Tuesday would be the project setup, Wednesday final judging, Thursday public day and awards presentation. Of course, after final judging day, for those of you who have opted to take part in ATS, there will be further ATS shortlisting and judging. For prize winners, the ATS and SSEF joint award presentation ceremony will take place in late April. And for the selected projects, Intel ISEF will be from 13th to 19th of May, held this year in Pittsburgh. Okay, so I will, in the next few slides, elaborate on the administrative details for the following 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. On Tuesday afternoon, you will report to Big Box for your project setup. Okay, the timing here is stated as 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., but you can report any time between 2 to 4 p.m. to take attendance and confirm your booth number, because we understand some of you might have lessons, you might not want to leave school so early. So just as long you report before 4 p.m., okay, please do not report at 4:45 because we will need to lock up the event hall at 5 p.m. to do final testing to ensure that everything runs smoothly on Wednesday. So after reporting to take your attendance and finding the location of your booth, on Tuesday itself, please remember to bring everything that you intend to display during final judging itself. So your posters, any other props you might have. If you plan to show some video clips, photos on your laptop, you need to bring the exact file with you. Okay? And you, including the laptop that you intend to show those multimedia on. Please also bring your own Velcro tape, copies of abstracts for judges and visitors. This is optional. Not all judges or visitors will be, because for your judges, they would already have seen your project report and abstracts beforehand, so they might not want a further hard copy, but you can always just prepare just in case. For those of you who have done your research at external institutions, you will need your Form 1C. For those of you who are doing continuation projects, please also bring copies of your Form 7. Okay? For students who are recycling your posters from other science fairs, because for SSEF, there are certain rules and regulations that you have to follow. For instance, you're not allowed to show the logo of your school, the logo of your research institution, and so on. So in the event that those logos are on your posters, not to worry, don't have to reprint a new poster, but please bring some paper and tape to cover up the logos and acknowledgements if applicable. Okay? Because all your entire display setup has to be cleared by the SSEF officials before you will be cleared for final judging on Wednesday. Okay, so this is a rough look of how the display booth will look like. Just now, I think in the SSEF video from last year, the setup will be similar. So each project will be given a display booth. You can keep your personal belongings in the shelf. Okay, so there will be a cupboard for you to put your personal belongings. There's also an electrical point in case you need to use your laptop. The maximum dimension of the poster is A0, and your booth ID will be clearly displayed, so the judges will be able to find you. Okay, so also remember your logbook and whatever supporting documents. So essentially on Tuesday, bring everything you intend to display during final judging. Okay, this is very important because the display booth is quite high. Okay, some of you might face difficulty with putting your poster up, and some of you might be very tempted to climb on the table when putting up the poster. Okay, however, in previous years, there has been an incident where a student climbed onto the tabletop, but this is actually a temporary structure. It's not meant to support the weight of a person. So what happened was that the student unfortunately broke, I think, his leg and had to turn up for final judging in crutches. So please, we do not want any accidents to take place. If you cannot reach, get your schoolmates, get somebody to help you put it up, okay? Do not climb on the tables. The other things would be to keep your booth and the surroundings clean and tidy, and please do not leave your valuables overnight, okay, at the exhibition hall. Okay, so after we have cleared your display and safety check, whatever that is not so valuable, like your copies of the abstract, can remain there if you want, but if you want to bring everything home, it's fine. But just make sure that you do not have any additional items on the day of final judging. How do we monitor this? Okay, because for every item cleared for display, there will be a sticker given. So on the actual judging day, if your certain object does not have the sticker, it means that it's not cleared for final judging. You will not be able to showcase that particular item during the judging day itself. Okay, so for Tuesday, do give yourself ample time. If, for instance, your poster is done up nicely with all the logos covered up, or your images have the proper references and acknowledgements, the entire setup and probably clearance will take less than an hour. However, if you only intend to bring your paper and tape and cover up everything on the day itself, then give yourself a little bit more time. Okay. However, do take note, we need to lock up by 5 p.m. Okay, so in the event that maybe you only arrive at 4:50, you are able to find an SSEF officer to clear your booth. This might mean that you will need to come earlier on the day of final judging, which also adds on to the stress. Okay, so that's something we do not recommend. We hope that all 320 projects can be cleared on Tuesday afternoon itself. Okay, so you might be wondering what is the detailed list of things that can be placed at your booth during final judging. Okay, we recommend that you go to the Intel ISEF website because SSEF is affiliated to Intel ISEF, so we take reference to a lot of their rules. So please visit the website, download a copy of the rules and regulations. If you want, you can refer to it now. Okay, most of it is common sense. So you cannot display things like living organisms, you cannot display things like human or animal parts or fluids, things like blood or urine at your booth. You also cannot have things like sharp items, flammable materials, chemicals, and so on, because this would pose a safety hazard. Okay? And for those of you who are doing certain projects that you might require lasers, there are certain guidelines for lasers. Certain classes of lasers are allowed, and there are very strict guidelines that you have to follow. So please refer to the rules and regulation booklet for the details. If you have any queries later, we will also be sharing our email addresses, so feel free to clarify with us before the 6th of March itself. Okay, so other points to note, I think these have been mentioned just now. So no logos, because every year during the safety and display check, this is probably one of the most common infringements we face. So we have to go around telling students to cover the logos up. And another one that's quite common is the lack of acknowledgements for the images, as well as any graphs displayed. There has to be at least a line saying that, for instance, all images are self-produced, all graphs are self-produced. Okay, for more details, we really refer you to the rule book. Even for your PowerPoint slides, maybe you have a whole series of images, but do copy and paste the line that, for instance, this photo was taken by me. You need acknowledgements for all sorts of images that you intend to show during final judging. Okay, so after the safety and display check and setup on Tuesday, it will be the exciting day of final judging. Okay, so during final judging day, you'll be at your booths from 9 a.m. to about 5 p.m., probably not so late, until 5:30. Okay, so registration starts at 8:30. Please do not come too early also. You might find that the big box, because it's a public place after all, it might be locked. Okay, so registration starts at 8:30. And for final judging, attire would be your school uniform with blazer, so it's a very formal attire. Okay? For final judging, this is a closed door event, so teachers will not be able to go in, parents will not be able to go in. Only judges and you, okay, plus the SSEF officers. So what happens is that during registration, you need to bring your student pass for ID verification. You will be given your SSEF ID tag and collar pin, and you will need that to gain entry into the event hall. Okay, because on that day itself, it's not a public event, unlike public day. So we really need to verify the identity of the students who are present during final judging. So please remember your student pass, okay, and be dressed appropriately. So you will be at your booths from 9 to around 5. However, there will be lunch provided. Okay, so meal vouchers will be provided to all SSEF finalists because there was a food court there. So you will be given the vouchers. So lunchtime will be between 1 to 2. Okay, so the food court, there are halal options as well as vegetarian options, so we should be able to cater to everybody. Okay, so we understand that lunch is a little bit late. Okay, so if you know that you'll be hungry because you are there since like 8:30, so you are allowed to bring snacks that are convenient to eat discreetly as well as not messy. Okay, because you have to keep the area of your bowls clean. So you might find a chance to snack in between or waiting for the judges, but please do not disturb your neighbors and please do not create a mess of the place. Okay, so on the day itself, you will have a judging card. You can see the diagram on the right. So what happens is that each project we have assigned 6 judges. After the judge has spoken to you, okay, assess your project, the judge will sign on your scorecard. Okay, so this card will be given to you during final judging. And the moment all 6 judges have assessed your project and your scorecard is complete, then you can return the scorecard to the registration booth outside the event hall, and then that's it. That's it for you for that day. Okay, because we cannot control the time that the judges will come to speak to you. The judges are scientists, university professors, people from the industry and so on, so they are volunteers. They will come at a time that suits their schedule, so we really cannot guarantee that all your judges will come at spread out times. For instance, you might have more judges in the morning, whereas other projects might have more judges in the afternoon. Okay? Besides the 6 judges that are assigned to each project, you might also have additional judges from the special awards organizations. So as to which projects will be visited by the special awards judges, we are unable to share because the different organizations have their own criteria for shortlisting projects. So in the event that some judge speaks to you, okay, but is unable to sign your scorecard, that's also fine. Most likely that judge will be from a special award organization. The judge also wants to find out more about your project in order to decide whether you can be receiving a special award or not. Okay. The last point probably will apply more for individual projects, okay? Because the judges actually expect you to be at the booth. So in the event that you need to go to the restroom, please just go, okay? But inform your neighbors. So in the event that a judge comes and there's no one there, your neighbors can help explain to the judge that, oh, you just went to the restroom but you'll be back in about 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so there might be a lot of waiting time. Okay, because we are unable to guarantee what time the judges will come to speak to you. So in between, if you want to look through your lecture notes, your tutorials or homework, we will not stop you. Okay, but please do not bring any games or cards. Don't forget you're wearing your full school uniform, formal attire. Okay, so no card games, no games. Okay, and after final judging day, please do not remove the display posters. Do not bring them home on 7 March. After public day, you can bring them home. Okay? So on final judging day itself, this is also very important because there are 320 projects excluding the junior scientists, so there's going to be a lot of people in the event hall. Even though it's a very big event hall, there are a lot of you, and there will be a lot of judges as well. Okay? So we expect it to be a little bit noisy. So in order not to disturb the process of the judging, when the judges are trying to speak to you to find out more about your project, please try to remain quiet when you are not involved in judging, okay? So as not to disturb your neighbors. Okay, so please be considerate for your neighbors. Some quick advice, okay? For final judging later, Mr. Cole will be sharing more about the design of the poster as well as the presentation. This is very important. Some of you might have, we know you're very excited to share your entire research experience. So some of you might have prepared a 12-minute, 10-minute monologue non-stop. Okay? We strongly discourage a monologue, because the whole idea of interacting with the judges is to have a conversation with them. Okay? For students who have prepared a monologue, please also be prepared that the judge might cut you off midway, so you need to be alert as well as adaptable. Okay, you cannot tell the judge, please hold on, let me continue. Okay, so the judge might interrupt you, ask you certain questions, or beforehand the judge would probably have already read your report, so they might come prepared with questions already. They want to look for you to find out more about some of their queries and clarify some of certain doubts they might have, okay, or to just find out a little bit more details. So please be polite at all times. If you are not sure of what the judge is asking, you can probably paraphrase the question nicely. Okay, so if the judge asks you something you are not too sure, you can say, do you mean this? Okay, and please do not be rude to them. They are volunteers. They have taken time out of their busy schedules to come to interact with you to find out more about your work. Okay, so treat the final judging day. Don't be overly nervous. It's a good learning opportunity for you to interact with scientists like you and also get feedback from them. Okay, so next part, judging criteria. Okay, this is available on the SSEF website. Basically, we are looking at the research question problem, how you did it, the design methodology, whether you were creative in the process, as well as the poster and interview. For detailed, for more explanations, please refer to SSEF website itself. Okay. After judging day, okay, the next more relaxing day will be public day on Thursday. So for public day, it does not start so early. Okay, so you can still go to school in the morning. Okay, so for public day, registration is at 10:45 at the registration counter. Okay, at Big Box. For public day, unlike final judging day, it's not a closed door event. So your schoolmates, your parents, your mentors, your friends, they're all invited. Okay, so you can encourage them to support you. There is free admission. Okay, same thing. There will also be meal vouchers provided for your lunch on public day. Lunch will be slightly earlier because for public day, there will also be talks by invited speakers. Okay, so besides walking around to find out more about your friends' projects and so on, you can also hear from certain people in certain fields. Okay, later I'll be sharing more about the program. Okay, so for public day, attire is also formal, so same as final judging day. Okay, so this will be the program for public day. There will be talks by speakers from NUS Enterprise, A-Star, as well as sharing from last year's Singapore representatives for Intel ISEF 2017. Okay, so there are programs throughout the day. Prize presentation will start around 3:15. So for those of you who have experienced SSEF before, you know that there will be this balloon. Okay, so you follow the balloon to find out which projects have gotten the prize. Then, after the award of the merit and bronze and silver awards, the gold awards, special awards, Intel ISEF, winners will be announced on the central stage. Okay, so for public day, everything is expected to end by 5:30. Then you will tear down your project, keep your posters, keep all everything, and clear out of the event hall by 6 p.m. Okay, so I think most of the points have already been shared. Okay, so quite packed from Tuesday to Thursday, so be mentally prepared now. Okay, for public day, there will be visitors every year. We have a lot of students from various schools. Some of the research mentors also want to find out what are the other student projects in the field, so they will come and speak to you. There might also be parents, teachers, principals even. Okay, so please be prepared to share your project with many interested people. Okay, remember you're representing your school, so please be polite. Same thing, keep the area around your booth tidy. Okay, do not make too much noise. You know you're very excited. Okay, but just be present at your booth and be prepared to engage your visitors. So as mentioned, clear out is by 6 p.m. on Thursday itself. Okay, so the next slide would be the SSEF awards. Okay, but we really hope that monetary awards are not your main motivation for taking part in SSEF, which should not be the case. Okay, the process of doing your research as well as the opportunity to share your project with judges in the field, getting feedback from them, that should be more valuable. Okay. So as mentioned just now, there will also be special awards. Okay, so this year we have various organizations on board. That's why there might be additional judges speaking to you to find out more about your project itself. Okay, second last slide. Okay, so top projects will be selected for the Intel SSEF 2018. So this is last year's Singapore team. So they performed very well. So we also hope that this year we will have equally commendable performance by the Singapore team. In case you want to find out more about Intel SSEF, they'll be sharing by last year's representatives during Public Day itself, and you can also visit the website. Okay, if you have any queries, please feel free to drop us an email. And now I'll hand over the time to Ms. Loke from Science Centre to share more about ATS.
Hi everyone, I'm Pamela from Science Centre. So I'll talk more about this thing called ATS. So when you're registered for the SSEF on the website, you have seen a column on whether you want to register for ATS or any other members of yours would want to participate. So the reason being that is, okay, I'm jumping ahead. So first thing is each team, only one person from each team can take part in ATS, which is why you need to select. So if you're not aware of this, you can feel free to contact us and we can always swap for you afterwards. Okay, so this thing about ATS is a separate competition that is tagged to SSEF. So the shortlisting round will be happening on 26 March, 2-3 weeks after SSEF. So only participants who have won a bronze, silver or gold award will be invited for this shortlisted round. So during this round, you will receive a notification email before 16 March about the schedule and the venue that you have to turn up for. So it will be a format of 15-minute interviews, 5-minute presentation and 10 minutes Q&A. So the difference between this and SSEF is that this one is a competition that is initiated by A-STAR itself and it focuses more on the individual. So it's a competition where you really search for a talent, a person that has the aptitude for science and research. So this whole thing would be not so much on the merits of your project, but really about you. So when you are preparing for that presentation, that's what you can focus on. The judges will also be asking you additional questions regarding your project. The project is more of a basis to show your potential in research and science. Alright, so it will be a panel of judges between 3 to 5 for the ATS shortlisting. The judges will be from various institutes and A-STAR itself. So it will be really a presentation format, but not so long, similar to SSEF. We don't want a monologue. It will be more of a Q&A and conversation. Okay, so moving on from the shortlisting round. Okay, so these are the scoring schemes just for your information. You're really looking at potential to pursue R&D rather than the project, which also takes some percentage but not so much. Okay, so from that shortlisting round, only 8 finalists will be invited for the final judging round. So this round will be taking place in April, on 24th April. This will be a round where you will be interviewed by a Nobel laureate. So this year it will be Prof. Arieh Warshel from Israel. He's a chemistry Nobel laureate winner for 2013. So he'll be present during this final judging round and he'll be part of the judging panel of about 6 to 8 judges. So it'll be quite a prestigious interview round. We will announce it in early April, who are these 8 finalists, through the schools. So this final round will be 25 minutes long. It will be much longer than the shortlisting round because it's down to the 8 of you. So presentation not so long, about 5 minutes with PowerPoint. a 20-minute Q&A as well. Okay, some of the awards, first prize, you'll be getting a sponsored overseas conference trip worth 5,000 and trophy and certificates. So second and third, 3,000, 2,000. Okay, so I'll show you a video of last year's ATS and SSEF award ceremony for you to have a feel of what will happen. So all award winners of ATS as well as SSEF, we will hold an award ceremony in conjunction, and all of you will be attending.
Here today to recognize and celebrate the achievement of our young scientists who participate in the 17th Singapore Science and Engineering Fair, SSEF, as well as the winners of the 11th Annual A-Star Talent Search ATS Awards.
Out of the SSEF Gold winners, 9 students were selected from 6 projects to represent Singapore in the next Intel ISEF 2017 in Los Angeles, California, this May from 14 to 19. So we wish them all the best, and we hope that they will learn from the writers at the fair, and maybe when we come back they share their experience as well.
The celebration is not just about winning the awards, but more so for the research journey taken to reach this milestone. I believe the process itself is more important and meaningful. It is through the process that you learn something about yourself, how hard you can drive yourself, how well you can troubleshoot and fix problems, how well you receive advice as well as criticism, and how bravely you face failure.
And I find that one of the key things you have to do is to follow your passion. From the research projects I've done, they have all given me really a lot of meaning, and they've given me a lot of personal satisfaction. For instance, when you follow your passion, the amount of joy and pure happiness that you feel every time you achieve a breakthrough is really something that is immeasurable, and I've never felt it anywhere else before.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mr. Koh from the Ministry of Education. First of all, I would like to congratulate all of you for being selected as the SSEF finalists. Just a quick survey: how many of you are first-time finalists? That's great. So we see a lot of new faces. So hopefully you will learn a lot through this journey with us in the SSEF. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is to share with you some design principles and how you can do well for your poster presentation. Okay, so you have done a report, right? So why do you still need to do a poster presentation? Basically, the poster is a visual communication tool. It's an abstract for your project, so it's different from your report. So this is not what we want. Okay? You should not be just copying and pasting your project into the poster. Okay? Alright. Now, something that I need to remind all of us is that the poster must only reflect the work that you've done in 2017. Okay? Okay, if you are continuing to do your project this year, you should not include it, nor should you include prior research findings from earlier than 2017. The poster must be focused. You must be sure and concise and clear, and be concise and clear about the message that you want to give to your reader. You should be organized. Your presentation should follow a logical flow. Your poster should have clear headings, and it's best that you let the graphs and images tell the story rather than use excessive text. Your poster should be easy to read. So what does easy to read mean? It should have font sizes that are large enough for your judges, okay, to read them from at least 1 meter away. You should have sufficient white spaces because the poster is of A0 size. So some of us tend to maximize, the area by packing in all the words, but that's not very healthy for the eyes. So if you want your judges to feel more comfortable, then perhaps you want to leave more white spaces. Avoid fancy fonts like this. I think you can't read this word, right? So if you use this type of fonts throughout, then I think your judges will get very mad at you. Okay, so this is one of the Intel SSEF poster. We are not saying that this is the perfect one and that everyone should follow the style, but it's just one example that you can follow. So now let's dissect this poster, okay, and look at the typical sections in a poster. So in all posters, there should be a title. You should have your name in the poster. You should let people know the background of your research. There should be a segment allocated to methodology and results. You should have a conclusion, and there should be a section on future works and references. Okay, let's go to the title. Now, the title should be clear and concise. You should use simple words and to describe the projects clearly. So if you look at the two titles provided, from just looking at the title, you know more or less what it is talking about. But definitely not this title, Cookie Science. What does it mean? I mean, are you making some cookies or what? Alright, so do use simple words to describe the project clearly. Okay, the title of your project should be displayed clearly. Some of us feel that, oh, the project title is not important, let's put a small font, let's give more emphasis to all our results and all, but that shouldn't be the case. Okay, most of the time, the title is at the top of the poster, and you should have a name there. Now, many a times, like what my colleague said, we like to indicate the affiliation, like your school crest, the research institution's logo, and the contact details of a mentor. This is not allowed under SSEF rule. Okay, so if you have those on your poster already, you need to cover them up with a piece of white paper. So after the judging, during the public day, you can actually remove the white paper to reveal the affiliation details. Now, some of you are using your H3 projects as your SSEF, as your SSEF projects. So you should cover up all references to H3 projects, such as your exam labels, your candidate details, and the examination examining agency. Okay, so that's for title. Now let's go to this section on the background. Background or objective is a must because it sets the context as to why you are doing the project. You should give some space to methodology because after all we are doing science, there is a particular scientific methodology that we are doing. So what we are advocating is that instead of writing paragraphs after paragraphs of what you have done, perhaps you might want to consider converting it to a flow chart, which makes it more easily to understand and read. Okay, definitely the result is the most important part of your poster, so do give it the fair amount of space. It should occupy the prime location of your poster, just like when you go to the supermarket, whatever is, premium product, they are placed at your eye level. So yeah, you should place the results at the eye level. You should present your data in the logical form. You should not be jumping there and there, making reference to one draft and then going back to another paragraph. That is not very reader friendly to your judges. Okay, this being a science fair, most probably you'll be using a lot of graphs and tables. So the context of your project will determine how you present the data. So if you should have, if you were to have some graphs, you should label your axes and headings together with the uniques. I think this is common science practices. The interpretation of the data is more important than your raw data. So you shouldn't be putting all your raw data in. Okay, for example, some of you doing chemistry research, you might have a lot of NMRs. Don't put every NMR, the nuclear magnetic resonance spectrum in. Okay, instead just select specific ones and those that are more significant. Okay, when you're doing graphs, focus on the trends and the relationships rather than the exact values, unless it is important. Okay, detailed guidelines, grid lines, or markers on the axis may be omitted if they are not necessary. Otherwise, it just masks the entire graph. If you are doing line plot, if you are doing if you are showing a graph like that on the right, you might want to show the variation using the line plots. Some of us doing biology projects, we would have some of these pictures, images. So it should be clear and well labeled. So if you were to look at the picture on the right, actually the color contrast is not very fantastic. It's not very easy for you to see. So you might want to tune the color a little bit. Okay. Microscopic images should all have scale bars or magnification stated. Otherwise, it wouldn't quite make sense to the judges. As mentioned by Grace just now, all images, you must reference it. And if you have taken the photographs or images from somewhere else, you must acknowledge the source. Okay, so you can acknowledge the source by putting a simple line saying that photograph taken by X, Y, Z. All images must be referenced. Now, if all images were taken by yourself or it's taken from a certain source, the same source, then you just need to display one credit line at the bottom or anywhere where it's prominent, okay, on your poster. Now, so I've shared the design principles with you. So I'm going to share two posters that are not very good examples. So you may want to discuss with your friend beside you, why do you think these posters are not good?
Because the second tells us the truth.
Okay, does anyone want to share? I mean, you have done your discussion, so does anyone want to share, point out how can we improve this poster, or which elements of these posters are not so, appropriate for our science fair? Anyone? There are mics out. No? Okay. So I think if you were to look at the one in the foreground, the one that is in yellow, I think we do not expect you to make your own poster like that. It should show more professionalism. Some of your schools would have your own printer, so do check with your teachers. Okay. Yeah. Then if you were to look at the one at the back, it's just chunks of words, which is not what we want. And also, what's the mole doing there? You know, I don't think it is relevant. So you may not want to fill up spaces with just random pictures of yourself or any other animals. Okay. Yeah, so I know it's the year of the dog. I will just put one down there just and hopefully it brings you luck. Okay. So okay. Now these two are posters that was done by one of your senior who attended the SSEF. So one is the before and one is after the critic. So maybe you want to take a short 1 minute to discuss with your friend. Which one do you think is the before and which one is the after? What is the change and why did he make the change? Okay, let's do a poll. Who thinks that the right one, the one on my right, is the before? Put up your hand. The one on my right is the before. Okay, who thinks the one on my left is the before? So the rest of you think you can't tell. Okay, actually the before is this and the after is this. Now what is the difference? If you were to look at it, I think the concept design has been made more prominent because after all, this project is talking about designing a prototype, so they put it very clear for the judges. Also, their methodology, instead of a flow chart, which is quite worthy, they've converted it into a diagram, which is very reader friendly and pleasing to the eye. Okay. So in the former design, they actually have two prototypes that failed, so they took it out because those are not too essential. So they just presented their final prototype. Okay. And it included two more sections, the conclusion and future works, because definitely some of the judges will be asking about, so what do you think you will do further after this fair? Okay, so do consult your teachers before you print your poster so that you can have better quality posters to present. Okay, so that's for the designing of poster. Now we shall move on to the presentation tip. You're given this poster stand, so it's taller than most of us. So you should be standing at the side and allow the judge to be standing in front of the poster so that he can read. You should not be standing in between the poster and the judge, right? Okay, so now